Okay, great. So, where's the best place to start? How to teach with Vidcode starting today. This webinar is going to be about 30 minutes. I'm going to breeze through it as fast as I can and make sure that we cover all of our bases. So, our agenda today. I want to take a quick poll, kind of see who is with us, what you would like to learn about, how I can help, talk about why we're here, the best ways, best strategies to get started, talk about our pilot program that we're doing for the month of March, and give you some time to answer some questions. At any point, if we run out of time due to our own technical difficulties, you can at any time shoot me an email at adam@vidcode.com and I would be happy to answer that. But I'm going to jump right in. So, what I would love is in the chat box, if you could please tell me what brings you to this webinar today. We might have teachers, we might have librarians, we might have administrators. Tell me a little about yourself, what you're hoping to learn. As I move through the platform and I talk about the best ways to get started, there might be something that I can specifically address. Great. I see some library programming. Oh, we have some librarians here. Great. Welcome, welcome. Great. Wonderful, wonderful. Math teacher, middle school teacher, digital learning coordinator, science teacher. Amazing. Great, great, great. Wonderful. I'm hoping that I can cover all of these bases. Okay. Make sure we have anyone who wants to join us. Okay. Here we go. So today's objective, I'm going to switch into teacher mode because I am a classroom teacher myself. Today's objective is to show you how to implement Vidcode's platform and curriculum immediately and effortlessly. That's our plan. So I should say real quick that we are working as a culture, as a world, fighting stereotypes. If you believe in the movies, code is a complicated and impenetrable dark art full of glowing greens and zeros, ones and zeros. But in reality, we are trying to make sure that students of all ages understand that coding is fun, it's creative, and it's important to students' futures. Just as I'm letting more people in, just as a reminder, if we could please, I can't mute everyone, but please, if you can mute yourself, that would be great. Thank you so much. Great. So the question is, am I doing good in the world? And the answer is yes. You're helping change the culture of computer science in the classroom, in the workforce, in the world, especially for young girls. Coding is important to learn. Gives children room to experiment, confidence to be creative, and instills grit into everything they're curious about. That's one thing that we want to make sure is that as you bring this platform into your classroom, into your library, you understand that there is a good kind of moral consciousness to our platform that we hope that you understand by the end of today too. And on top of that, we always like, because we are the creative coding platform, we like everyone to understand and walk away that students are creating something that is entirely their own. So I hope it goes without saying, Happy Women's History Month. If you do not know this about Vidcode, Vidcode was founded by three amazing women, computer science programmers and artists, and their goal was to change the culture of computer science. And so I'm so very proud to be an ally in this fight and to be an advocate for their product and this company. And so Vidcode is very much designed with young girls in mind. What happened though, because we were trying to get young girls into coding, what happened is that because it's so visual and so creative, teens and tweens naturally gravitated towards us. And so this platform that was originally designed to change the culture is inclusive of everyone. And so that's kind of a wonderful part about our classroom, our curriculum to bring into your classroom or library. So simply put, by getting started with Vidcode, you're playing a meaningful role in this fight. So you are here to answer the question, what are the best ways to get started? Simply put, first, we encourage that every teacher, administrator, librarian tries an activity on their own. You can try a tutorial, get an idea of what your students will experience, and try a coding activity yourself. You can go online with a free account at vidcode.com and check it out. Try it out, see what it's like, explore it yourself. A few things that I want you to kind of put in mind. Big ideas. One, Vidcode is all about helping students learn rigorous coding in a fun and visual way. Two, there are over 200 tutorials for your students to complete as they master computer science. And each activity gives students a self-guided experience. And I'll show you exactly how that works with feedback and support. So After you have tried it, you kind of get a feel. We always suggest that you learn how to create a class or a section, which is what I'm here to show you today. And if not, if you're not ready to start with the class, that's totally fine too. You can check out other activities, other things that we offer. So, shall we jump in? Give me one moment. What I'm going to do now is that I'm going to share my screen. And at any point during this, if you have a question about how our platform works or certain parts, please type it in the chat box. And at the very end, I am going to return to that and make sure that I answer everyone's questions. So here we go. This is vidcode.com. This is where you will do everything. We are a turnkey curriculum and platform, which means you don't have to download anything. You don't have to get any other add-ons or anything. This is everything you need is at vidcode.com. Sign in as an educator. This is for any administrator, any library. You are all considered educators in this fight. So you can click on I am an educator. What I'm about to show you is all the bells and whistles that would come with our pilot, which I'll talk about at the end today, that for the month of March, because you are with me today, I would love to show this as a demo for an administrator, a district leader, your library director, just so they can see what you're doing. And for the whole month of March, we want to offer you a free, full access pass to our platform so you can really kind of see it in action and try it out for yourself. Because we know that every library and classroom is different. So we want to give you all the tools, really try it out, ask me any questions, I'm here, and all that. But I'll get to that at the very end. Let's jump in. So the best ways to get started. First things first, you're going to want to create your sections or your classes. The way to do that is that this initial kind of teacher dashboard of sorts, you got to go over here to this little plus sign, and this is how it's going to work. By clicking on it, you can give your section a name. Now, depending if you're a classroom teacher or you're a librarian, this is going to look different. And so this requires a little bit of pre-work, let's say, on your side to successfully set up your class. In a classroom setting, it's probably easier to go by periods. In a sense, you might have period 2, period 3. For a library, what we find the best way to do it is that you can do it by grade level or by school to say, hey, here are my middle school students, 6th through 8th. Here are my high school students, 9 through 12th. Late elementary school. I wouldn't start any sooner than 3rd grade. 3rd through 12th grade is kind of our pocket. But we find a lot of adults, a lot of teachers really love us too. And so libraries, we have a lot of libraries that are also doing it for adults. So once you have created your classes, what you're going to do is you are going to assign them a course. And I'm going to go over exactly what the best ways to do this are. But all you have to do is after creating your section, you click and assign a course. Simply by clicking that entire bundle of a course, meaning all of the courses, the entire pathway, the self-guiding curriculum, all the projects, the quizzes, they are on the student's path in whatever way that it kind of naturally differentiates to them. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to jump to my left over here under the course library. And this is so you know when you think, well, what course am I supposed to offer them? Here's the best way to go about it. First of all, you're going to see up top, you have your tabs for your different classes, for your different grade levels. So we have a middle school tab, a high school tab, a libraries tab, and an at-home tab. So even though it says middle school, the green cross-disciplinary courses are actually good for late elementary school. So that is the best place to start with those. You'll see it'll say a number of activities and a number of hours. And so green is if you're thinking about a late elementary school. The maroon is more for middle school. And the orange is also for middle school. But it'll say this if you click on any one of these because you as the teacher can jump in and preview any of these courses to learn a little bit more about them. We have an award-winning curriculum. We were ranked by the Education Alliance of Finland against all these computer science platforms all around the world, and Vidcode came out on top. So it is not hyperbolic to say we are offering the #1 computer science platform to your students because we actually are. And I mean that, I'm happy to brag about this product because it is that good. That being said, the way that I would recommend where's the best place to start is that if you're working with middle school students, I would suggest starting with JavaScript 101. If you're working with third, fourth grade students and up in elementary school, I would start with cross-disciplinary coding 101. In high school, no surprise, I would start with, drum roll please, computer science 101. And libraries, what we have done for you all is Coding Club 1. These are naturally scaffolded. I think you can see it the clearest in a first kind of look if I look into JavaScript 101. So when you assign a course, what you are telling your students is to look and to go through this platform course by course. In the sense that here I am in JavaScript 101, there are 10 activities and 15 hours of coursework. That's the number of time they're going to be spending in the coding editor that I'll show you next. But
And
as you can
Python.
see, what the students see is they
Take
are
it
going
from
to move
block
through.
coding to Python to JavaScript.
Oh, I'm sorry, is there a question?
JavaScript is right. It's
Mhm.
SAP.
So as you can see, what the students see is that they're first of all going to see a highly visual platform. They're working on creating a filter, a digital quilt, a meme, a Snapchat filter. So we have very culturally relevant stuff that students are working with. And each one of these is a small project. They're all scaffolded so that every course builds on itself. So we recommend allowing students to move right through it in the numerical order. There is always a quiz, the exception being the library pathway does not include this. Um, and the 10th part in this case, or whatever the last part, is a larger project that utilizes all the skills that they have learned throughout. So to get started, to go back to our question, where's the best place to start? You start by creating your sections. From that, you jump into assigning those courses. Let me show you quickly what the teacher sees, because then I'll show you exactly how to navigate this. Let's say you have created your sections. You have assigned your courses. Now you have to add your students. So when you jump into the teacher dashboard here, and I'll jump into my period 2 class, you'll see that it'll say teachers on top, and then it'll say students. So if you want to add a co-teacher, if there's another teacher that's involved, we find some libraries like to add the library director to this. They can quickly just go over to this little plus sign and share this unique URL. That will prompt them to sign up and they will automatically be added to this class. Students work in this exact same way. That if you see under students, you're going to go over to that little plus sign. You're going to share this unique URL with those students. It could be through, for my classroom teachers, maybe a Google Classroom or something like that. For my libraries, this could either be through an email or even on your library homepage to say, hey, all 6th to 8th grade students, here is your link. All 9th through 12th grade students, here is your link, depending on how you want to break that down. Students are going to get that link and it's going to prompt them to sign up. The moment they sign up, they will be added to your roster in alphabetical order. It'll keep track of exactly when they joined and when they log in. So this first roster page is going to give you everything you need to kind of set up your class and keep track of that. The next best place to kind of get started is that once those students have been added, I just want to show you all the kind of little helpful kind of hints that our teacher dashboard has to track data and to make sure that you're kind of keeping a pulse on where your students are at. First one is our first tab called Assigned Courses. To no surprise, this is where your assigned courses are. In this case, I have assigned this class JavaScript 101, 201, and 301. So yes, you can assign numerous courses. In this case, I have given my class 45 hours of work. If you want, you may certainly do that. I would recommend personally, you give them chunk by chunk. I would just do JavaScript 101 and then see where students are at. So in this case, I get a quick snapshot. I can see my sections progress. And then I myself as a teacher, if I am not a coding pro, I can walk through the platform at the same time so that I can learn about it too. So if you choose to do that, it'll keep track of your own progress too. So we have 3 ways in which our platform tracks data. One is this progress tab, which gives you, again, a quick snapshot. What you can see here is that there's different, all of our chapters. The green tells us that a student has completed one. The yellow tells us that it's in progress. And so this is a quick way for us to kind of think about, okay, where are my students at? Where, like, who is moving through it faster? Who do I need to give some more attention to? And when students get through this, they earn a unit certification. This is for every single course. They will get a certification. This can be printed off and shared in a classroom. This can be shared with parents. This can be part of a newsletter, downloaded as a PDF, anything like that. But it's a good tool to kind of have in your back pocket to incentivize. The next tab is going to be everyone's best friend. So I would recommend when I think about where's the best place to start, you're going to want to remember the sketches tab. The reason being is that this is your way to keep track of students in the remote world, kind of see where everyone's at, quick way to check in, see their work. Everything you need is going to be under sketches. As a classroom teacher myself in the remote world, I was always wondering, oh, I hope those students are learning. Are they still with me? You know, in the remote world, I could never really check. This is a great way to check. So the sketches tab, it'll keep track of the course you are in, the chapter of each course, and it'll keep track of the student's title, the student themselves, and when they saved or submitted their work. At any point, you as the facilitator can click on one of these and you will jump into the coding editor and you'll be able to see their work, you know, offer some feedback and jump out. You can do this also and filter it depending on how you see fit. It can be by course order. It can be by the date submitted too. So in this case, I can see, okay, this student submitted in this class at this time. So if something is due, for example, at 5 p.m. on a Friday, you can make sure everything is due at 5 p.m. The quizzes tab, self-explanatory in the sense that this is where our quiz grades are. We are working on exporting this. We don't have that that capability yet. But what we do have right now is a quick way for you to check any grades. All quizzes in the middle school pathway and high school pathway, they are self-assigning and they are self-grading, which means you do not have to worry about a thing. Students will encounter these as they move through their courses. This just helps you keep track of it. So if I click on any one of these, it'll tell me, again, multiple choice, standards aligned, and rigorous. At any point, a student can retake it if you want them to. It'll keep track of both times they have taken it and the grades they have gotten. They cannot move through the course unless they prove proficient on it. And the last one, another good friend of yours, is going to be your share tab here. So what we have done as a platform too is that we wanted to make room for like a publishing aspect to it so that when students finish something, they could share it. So you're going to create, every one of you who has an account, you will automatically have a share tab and you will have a showcase. And so with this showcase, you can give it a name. It can be the teacher or the library's coding section showcase. And you can add a little blurb about what you've been working on in class, anything like that. And then you choose which students' work you want to be featured. So we have just some best practices. We have teachers that update this weekly. It's a little it's an incentivized way to make sure students are working and contributing and making sure they're doing some great work. So if they have earned it, they can be in the showcase. It can be every Friday. You can showcase everyone's work. But this purple bar on the bottom, share your section showcase, this URL is what you will kind of share with parents, with community members, with the students themselves, with your administration, with your director, whatever it might be, to say, hey, here's our students' best work. So in this case, the way you do this is that you're going to float over these three little dots and you're going to click either add or remove from the showcase. Once you do that, they will be automatically added to the showcase. And let me show you exactly what that looks like. So this URL at the bottom gives me this showcase, and it'll keep track again of depending on what you wanted to see. If you wanted to show the student's name, if you wanted to show their work only, if you wanted to show the student's little blurb about that, that's a fine way to do it. This is entirely customizable. So different ways you can do that. So this kind of teacher dashboard is going to be your best friend getting started in any way. Again, we went to our course library. That was where we started. This might be a good place as you have your rosters, even before you create your classes or your sections, to go through this and say, okay, let me jump into one of these and see. Like, let me see digital citizenship, for example. Okay, we're going over these things, a media scavenger hunt. Fighting fake news, what a personal avatar, the safety, the best ways that I can do it. We have some more details here. It's all very user-friendly that you can navigate. So we've created our sections. We've added students to our rosters. We know an idea of all the different ways we can track data. Now, let me show you exactly what the students see so you get an idea of exactly what they're going through. So I'm a student now. I'm looking out at this platform as a student. What I see is I see all of these small assignments that I'm going to get through. This little green check means that I've gotten through it already. And as you see, it'll say, for example, number 1, create a filter. And then above it, it'll say tutorial or challenge. This is where we recommend going through the platform exactly in that kind of numerical order. JavaScript 101, 201, Computer Science 101, 201, Coding Club 1, 2, 3, 4, because it is meant to be in such a way that we rinse and repeat. We introduce new things, we rewind, we back up, we clarify, we create something new. So this being said, I'm going to move through this in any way that I want. A question that I've been getting is that can you pick and choose what students work on? Yes, you certainly can. You cannot remove them directly from this because when you're assigning a class, you're assigning that bundle, meaning all of those courses and that pathways, but you can choose to have students skip around. So for example, if the quizzes are not something that you wanted to do, you can say, hey, you're going to do it all, but skip number 8. You can, move from 1, 2, 3 to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, you have every right to do that. We offer the flexibility in our curriculum that students can absolutely do that. But as a classroom teacher myself, I would recommend moving through this to make sure, and we have research to back this up, that going through it one by one is going to be your best bet. So let me show you real quick, because I know we're already running out of time. Again, my apologies for everybody that showed up late. I'm so sorry about our technical difficulties, but thank you for your flexibility. Real quick, here's our coding editor, just so you have an idea of what students are going to be working on. On our left, you have our self-guided instructions. This is it's a differentiated platform because students move at their own pace. For JavaScript 101 through 301, those courses are entirely in Spanish. We are working on expanding that to other coursework. But there's always a text-to-speech button so that students can listen to the instructions as they are reading them. On the right, you have our multimedia gallery. These come preloaded with backgrounds, graphics, and audio. But the best part is that students or teachers can upload their own files. So even though you're working on creating a video filter, or I should say coding a video filter, the content in which you use is all up to you and your students. I've worked with visual arts teachers who are using this. Their students are creating their own work and then learning to code through this platform. I'm working with a fashion teacher that is working with their students' sketches, then working on kind of coding it in that way. Music teachers that are letting students utilize their own music. English teachers in which they're coding, different poems. Endless opportunities here. This is kind of what our platform is known for. So I encourage you, upload your own files, make it fun. As students move through this platform, you're going to see it'll make sure to make it super, super clear. In this case, select from the backgrounds, and we start with the drag and drop model. I drag my code, I can see it on the right. As I move through it, it's going to introduce academic language, real world application. And then as we start with the drag and drop, we will get into writing our own code. But because this is the beginning and this is a tutorial, this is the first kind of step in our middle school pathway. It just says soon you'll be writing your own lines of code. But for now, there's a code in these buttons. I'm going to drag my invert block, and you'll see it immediately affects it. Another great part about our platform is that it is self-correcting, which means that if a student does something, they cannot proceed unless it is accurate. As this platform moves on, as students move through the coursework, this feedback gets a little more colloquial, and they'll say, hey, you missed a semicolon here. Most of the time with this first one, most students don't even realize that they can click this section. But just so you know, that is there. So I'm going to add one more here. I can pull over this tint. I can change the color, and I can change the numbers, and it alters my project. Let's say you are not a coding expert, but your student has a problem and you don't know how to resolve it. Here's what we are going to say. First of all, you have nothing to worry about. because I'm about to show you all the lesson plans and resources that we offer teachers. But if at any point a student or teacher is stuck, we have this little button over here that you can simply say, hey, can you help me out? My team and I, we are like the coding 911. You can reach out to us. We will give you any immediate feedback as fast as we possibly can. So you're never alone. I'll just say that. So when students save a draft or submit their work, it immediately populates in that Sketches tab on the teacher dashboard. And when they submit their work, they can give it a title. In this case, I'll call it Dino Green. And then I'm going to give a little description about it. So you as the teacher, we have lesson plans, which I'll show you next. And there are questions in there that you don't have to worry about kind of thinking of some that can give you a quick check for understanding as students save or submit their work. So in this case, one of them might be like, what did you learn today? And I can say, I learned about JavaScript. That again populates in the Sketches tab. So gives you a quick update of how students are doing. They end with this little kind of YouTube video that I like to call it because it reminds me of YouTube. I get my product on the left, my code on the right. At any point, a student can edit this. You can come in and edit it. You can offer them feedback. We find that teachers, a great best practice here is that teachers like to assign other students work and say, hey, I want you to remix this into something different. It'll save the original while making sure to also save the new one. Students can download this, and there's also a share button. So for my teachers here that are on Google Classroom, there is a button that will directly submit this through Google Classroom. For everybody else, there is an embed code too. We are FERPA compliant, COPA compliant, 2D Ed Law compliant, and any other acronym that I know that means student privacy, safety, data is safe with us. We are a small company. This is a pillar of our organization. So this embed code lasts forever. Free version, paid version, anything like that. We find, I would suggest having all students create a Google Doc or something to keep track of their embed codes, to create a portfolio for high school, for college, just keeping track of everything that they've coded. So this can also be embedded into a website. So that's just, I want to make that clear. I know we're short on time, and so I'm so sorry if you have to run in a few minutes. Please, I will send you the recording at the end of this. But I'm going to jump real quick to our lesson plans and resources because my friends here, this will be a great resource for everyone. So this looks like a lot because it is, but in a really, really good way. First things first, you will see under our lesson plans and resources that we have general resources. This is for anyone to get started, libraries, school leaders, classroom teachers. We have an onboarding bundle. We have an educator form to connect you with other libraries who are working with us, other teachers, other art teachers, other science teachers, other math teachers. A virtual learning guide to bring this into the remote world, to the hybrid world, if we have teachers or libraries here that are there. Rubrics to grade student work. I mean, we give you everything. But let me show you the day-to-day, what it looks like. So when you assign your courses, the first things you'll see under lesson plans are the classes that you have assigned. In this case, I'm going to jump to JavaScript 101. This is going to be your best friend. JavaScript 101, you can click on a quick overview. It gives you everything you need. But if you want, you don't even have to look at that. You can actually look at each kind of course chapter. I was under Create a Filter, so I'm going to show you exactly what Create a Filter looks like. In this case, I have an about the activity. I have all the standards. I have a way to break this down into a 45 or 60-minute lesson. Background about coding if I am not an expert and I want to know a little bit before things get started. A link to some more if I need a little more help. What we call a code challenge, breaking things down into maybe a 90-minute class period, or if you need a little more time, you want to have more of a conversation about it. We always offer a sample solution so that teachers and facilitators and librarians don't have to think they have to kind of speed through it and create something. At the beginning of class, you can say, hey, everybody, we're making a filter. Here's our dinosaur friend looking pretty cool. You can choose to hide the code or not. We offer ways to share in class or with a partner. And then at the bottom, so take note of this, that at the bottom of these lesson plans where we have those reflection questions. These are a great way to either start class or end class, or when students are submitting their work. You can ask any one of these to say, hey, when you submit your work today, answer the question for me. Does code look like you expected? Is it easy, hard, straightforward, confusing? The two best things personally for me is the cheat sheet that we offer. This is a little cheat sheet that just goes over kind of teacher-friendly and student-friendly language. How can I break this down? Frequently asked questions, just kind of, again, what I like to call the teacher or facilitator homework the night prior, hopefully the week prior. But we're all busy, so, And the other thing that we offer is we always offer slides. We have Google Slides for every single day of every single lesson plan, so you don't have to worry about creating any presentations. This aligns with the lesson plan that we offer. So to say, talk about it for 10 minutes, let the students code for 20 minutes or whatever it might be. It also aligns with the self-guided kind of platform that students are working through. So again, we're working, hey, welcome. We're working on creating a filter, review the terminology. They're seeing the same thing. So there's that rinse and repeat model of, hey, what is JavaScript? Here's the real world application, all that good stuff. So your lesson plans and resources are going to be a great place to start regardless of where you're thinking. And if you want at any point, you can shoot me an email that'll say, hey, Adam, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, whatever it might be. But the last thing I'll say, because I know I'm a little over, sorry y'all, I'll finish it real quick. I want to show you this coding sandbox real quick. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's a sandbox. Students get to play. This is great for students. If you have anyone in your circle or in your bubble, maybe I should say, that just wants to have fun, might not want to do more of a structured time. If you have, let's say, a student that's doing a great job that is breezing through this and needs a little more like harder work or more of an exploratory thing for libraries, this is great just to offer for students of all ages, adults and kids, just to see and put their put their knowledge into practice. So it'll have everything that they've gone over. Again, backgrounds, graphics, and audio. And as we say, you just have fun and be awesome. So that is a whirlwind overview. I know I have, oh, that's great. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat box. The first one I saw is, this is even better than I thought. Thank you. I'm grateful that you feel that way. So let me quickly return to my little presentation as I wrap this up today. Thank you again for your flexibility. So big takeaways. Yes, loving the sandbox. Sandbox is amazing. Trust me. I know so many students that just could do that all day. Big one takeaway. Use Vidcode to personalize. As a teacher, I was always looking for resources that could really bring my students' interests into the classroom. This is a great way, standards aligned, rigorous, academic way to teach coding and personalize what they were interested in. So please, you know this, everyone here knows this. We want to make sure kids, adults, anyone, frankly, that they're interested in what they're doing. This is a great way to make coding it's not just a game and it's not super boring. It's like it's in that money spot. It's great, 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 great. So please use this to personalize. The other one is use Vidcode to motivate. Upload, again, kind of the same thing, upload their own media into their into anything that they do. And that remixing quality is a great thing to have students collaborate with other students and take their work and edit it into something new. And the last one, and this is kind of where I started today, is that Vidcode was founded to change the culture of coding. And we have research to back that up that we do. This is after 10 hours of coursework over a number of students and schools that were utilizing us. In only 10 hours, they found that their confidence in their coding abilities skyrocketed from 37 to 89. These young people identified as programmers and they thought of themselves as technology people. So not only are we giving them the skill sets, but we are really building the kind of character of coding. It's not just an exposure thing. We're building passion, we're building interest, we're seeing it as a dynamic thing. So I just think it's an all-star kind of product and I'm happy to stand behind it. So we want to give people access to that pilot. That being said, if you are a teacher, librarian, school leader, anything in between, for the month of March, if you want to try out all the bells and whistles, you want to see what it's really about, you want to, try it for a few weeks, I want you to, and I'm going to send an email, so don't worry about writing this down. We just want to connect with whoever your, if it's your library director, if it's your school leader, if it's your department head, if it's your IT director, anything in that world. If you can get us in contact with them and say, hey, I think I'm interested in this. We just want to make sure that the higher ups know what's going on. We get in contact with them. We just do a little chit chat. I'm happy to offer anybody here that full access free Vidcode pilot for the month of March. So please take advantage of it. Tell your friends about it. Email all your other teacher, librarian friends about it. We want to spread the word that what we have is really great and people are loving it. So I know I'm over. It's 51, so I appreciate you all so much. I'm happy to hang out and answer some questions for the next few minutes. If you have to run, I will email you this recording as well as more resources to come. But in the interim, I'm going to see what other people have put in the chat box at this time. Please put your questions in if you'd like. And if you don't have any questions, thank you so much. Again, so sorry about the technical difficulties, but thank you for coming. And I hope you learned a great way to get started today. Okay, let's look at some of these questions. So question, what overlaps or scaffolding happens between the library coding clubs and those courses in middle school or high school? Great, great question. I'm going to jump to my website real quick. I just don't want to misspeak. I want to make sure I'm exact. I know the answer to this. I want to make sure it's even more accurate than I think it is. So Coding Club 10, Coding Club 1, I should say, is pretty much at a middle school reading level. So a good way to think about Coding Club 1 through Coding Club, is it 4 now? Of course, I'm blanking. Yeah, Coding Club 4. A great way to think about it is that we kind of bridge the gap between middle school and high school, meaning that it doesn't get to a difficult enough reading level. We get a good foundation and an in-depth foundation of JavaScript. And by Coding Club 4, we are working on, let's see, animations, loops, variables. We're doing kind of everything that we would do actually in JavaScript. So to think about it, the Coding Club for libraries is probably, again, 6th through 9th grade. It's kind of just bridging that gap to high school. Our high school courses, I should say, are AP aligned. And so just to think about it like that. Kids work does not auto save. We are working on that feature now because we understand that's how everything works. And so we are working on that. We're hoping to have that soon. I will keep everybody posted. A great practice that I have found and what I've spoken to other teachers who utilize this is that when they are utilizing it in a class, they can say, okay, it's been 5-10 minutes or so. Everybody save a draft. Anytime a student saves a draft, then you can kind of click and it'll automatically populate in your teacher's sketches tab. So that's the best way to go about it, I think. Excuse me. The showcase, the question is the showcase exclusive by section? So your showcase is going to be linked to your classes or your sections. That being said, only if you wanted to create a larger class that involved everybody could then that showcase involve everybody. But we wanted to make sure that every class had its own showcase depending on kind of the sizes. And so that's the best way to think about the showcase. How many students per teacher would be a reasonable teacher workload? That's a great question. I naturally come from a traditional classroom setting where most of my classes that I have used have been between 30 and 40 students. I have found that to be very manageable. I would be happy, Michael, I would be happy to answer that. If you want, I can follow up and see other libraries and kind of larger class settings, only because when I think about how our platform tracks data, if you increase that kind of size of the classes, that data might be harder to read. And so I think it's easier to kind of chunk it into 30 or 40 students, maybe even smaller, 20 to 30. If you were interested in tracking that data. If data wasn't super important and you were more so about the kind of exposure side of it, that students were just creating something, then I think a larger size would be just fine. Because I should say that depending on kind of how you want to utilize this, there is no student limit. So you could add as many students to one section. If you just have a single section that you're just going to call coding, which is totally fine, you can add as many students as you would like. I know you have capabilities with Google Classroom. Are there any other similar platforms are you working on syncing? So Jacob, great question. We have found that the vast majority of teachers that we work with have utilized Google Classroom. So that's why there's a Google Classroom button in here. We are compatible with, and forgive me, my school uses Google Classroom, Schoolology. I want to say Canva, and I know that's like the editing one. I have yet to find anyone, nor have I spoken to any teacher who utilizes us that it wasn't compatible with. I can talk to my team and figure out if we're working on something. I just know that it happens to be 90 something percent of the teachers that we do work with happen to be on Google Classroom. But I do know that we are syncable. We do sync with every other platform that I've ever heard of as a teacher, so I would not worry about that. For special education middle school with reading tutorial, should they start with cross-disciplinary 101? Michael, great question. I have found from the students, the teachers that I have worked with, is that it depends. I have a teacher that I'm working with right now who's at a school entirely for students with autism. He has high school students and he is working with JavaScript 101, which is our middle school one, and he is finding great success with that and those students. Obviously, all the students that he works with, they come from different backgrounds, they're on different reading levels. I think it would be a safe bet, Michael, that with a special education middle school class with reading, I would suggest cross-disciplinary 101 is a great place to start. Ideas for embedding into science class instead of a stand-alone class. Yes, this is one of the kind of wonderful things about our platform is that it is amazingly flexible. So that being said, we have teachers that utilize Vidcode every single day, and we have teachers that utilize Vidcode once a week. Both are super successful. Both are finding that it is something that students look forward to, that they are having a lot of fun with. If you want, Michael, I would be happy to send you part of our educator forum. It's broken up into different disciplines. And so we have science teachers that have thought about cool ways to bring this into their classroom. And so if you want, you can email me at adam@vidcode.com. And just as a reminder, if I happen to, I want to make sure I get to all the questions, but I can follow up with you and send you all of those science resources. You got it? No problem. I know we're at 58. Are there any other questions? Please put them in the chat box at this time and I would be happy to answer them. Or if I missed one, sorry if I missed one, just going back to make sure I didn't miss any. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up there. Again, thank you all for your flexibility today. I will be sending this recording out to everyone who wants to rewatch any of it or share it with a director, leader, whatever it might be. Thank you all. You have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to activating your pilots soon. Bye all. Yes, 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 yes. See you next week.